I'm going off into something different now about Chicago as I see it in general. So a couple weeks ago, the powers that be came to my block. That's the news media, right? And when they came, the camera guy walked right by. He walked right by this beautiful garden. This garden was created by a family. The man had cancer, the husband and the wife, and a daughter had worked in this garden for a year. Professional landscaping, red lava rocks, outdoor gazebo, mural on the back fence. It's actually, the place is called the Promised Land. It's in Inglewood, West Inglewood on 68th and Paulina. The camera guy walked right by it, didn't even acknowledge it. And he focuses on the only vacant house on the block with boarded up windows. So I said, hey man, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm grabbing some exterior shots. I said, well, what are exterior shots? He said, oh, that's a television production term. Exterior shots are any shots or any scenes that are shot outdoors, right? Like, he was from the suburbs, but he went to school at Columbia to study video production, and he got hired to tell stories by the powers that be, the news media. He walks by a $50 million school. It's called Miles Davis Academy, Chicago's first elementary engineering school, rated level 1 by CPS School Quality Rating Report. 250 kids go to that school, go on to some of the best high schools in Chicago. The media walked right by it, didn't even acknowledge it, didn't even look at it. I said, where's this guy going? He was going to the alley. When he got to the alley, he put his camera back on his shoulder, but this time he focused on the broken bottles on the ground and the trash in the alley. So I said, hey man, what are you doing? You getting some more exterior shots? He's like, oh no, I'm not getting no exterior shots. I'm getting some B-roll. Well, I was like, what is B-roll? He said, oh, B-roll, that's another television production term, right? B-roll is any supplemental or alternative footage that's intercut with the main shot. He was from the suburbs. He went to school at Columbia to study video production, and he got hired to tell stories by the powers that be, the news media. So we sat there for 2 or 3 minutes, zoomed in and zoomed out, the broken bottles on the ground and the trash in the alley. A couple minutes go by. Can you make this up? A couple minutes go by, about 3 or 4 guys walk down the alley, sagging their jeans. One was wearing a fake Gucci hat. He ran to the end of the alley to go interview them. I was polite. I waited till the interview was done. And I said, hey man, what are you doing? Getting some more B-roll? He said, oh, no, this is not B-roll. These are interviews for auxiliary characters. And I was like, what are auxiliary characters? He said, blah, 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 right? This dude, he was from the suburbs, but he had gone to school at Columbia to study video production, and he got hired to tell stories by the powers that be, the news media. Why does this make sense? It makes sense because this guy that wasn't even from there was creating a story, and this story was gonna go out at 9 p.m. to millions of viewers in Chicagoland and Indiana area, right? It was a gross misrepresentation of 68th and Paulina. I wouldn't even call it news. It was a parody. It was more like a spoof, right? It was propaganda intended on scaring people. There was no beautiful garden that the husband and wife and daughter worked on for a year called the Promised Land. There was no $50 million school. All I saw was the only vacant house on the block with boarded up windows, broken bottles on the ground and trash in the alley, and I saw dudes sagging their jeans, and they weren't even wearing fake Gucci hats in the interview, right? It made me think that somebody, somewhere, has stock B-roll footage of dudes sagging their jeans in Inglewood. Hey, let me get some footage of dudes sagging their jeans and just intercut that in the main shot. Come on, you have to do your own research. This is a parody. It's not real. To make our city better, we need more people, young and old, to visit community areas outside of their own and see it for yourself. And this is not an attack on all media at all. This is not an attack on media. I think they have to do a better job at making it more proportional. I want to see an equal representation of bad news sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, is there any bad news going on the north side? Right? I mean, for real. And the mindset switch here is that all the bad news ain't gonna lead to no change anyway. Discontent never is going to lead to disaffection because it's not the bad news. If you don't have no power, you're not going to want to change. You can't create change without no power. The only way people change is with a taste of winning. I mean, you've never heard of a football or basketball team say, we lost 12 games in a row, let's really go out there. No, it's a taste of winning that makes things change. So I think the news, if they want to change things in Chicago, by the way, like, things ain't ever going to change in Chicago. I can tell you how next weekend's going to be like. Next weekend, guess what? I can tell you what it's going to be like next summer and next weekend. It's going to be the same as it's always been. It's always been violent in Chicago. The only way things change is when you change. Like, I don't care if we're talking to business people. I don't care if I'm talking to high school, grade school. The only way things get better for you is when you get better. Point blank, period. Things don't change by chance. Things change because you change. And the media is always talking about what's happening. Did you hear about this happening? We could talk about happenings all day, right? Disappointments aren't special gifts reserved for poor people. We could talk about stuff happening. What's happening? You hear about this happening? Like, it's not about what happens, y'all. It's not about what happens. It's about what you do about it. So we need to change our philosophy as a city to say, what's something I can do? And you guys, you can make yourself explore around Chicago. Thank you guys for having me. I'm Jahmal.